for joining us this evening. My name is John. We have the great pleasure of having Lisa Medina here with us tonight, and she is the head of the Calaveras County Animal Services, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct. Now you also, so people know, you wear multiple hats. Now,
Yes, I do.
What different departments are under your bailiwick?
So under my bailiwick are the Environmental Management Agency.
Got it.
I'm the administrator. So under that umbrella, we have Animal Services, the Agricultural Department,
Got it.
the Air Pollution Control District, which I'm also the Air Pollution Control District Officer,
Got it.
and Environmental Health and On-Site Wastewater.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
It keeps me busy. I
Now,
love it.
but this is kind of this is the most visible one, right? Animal Services, isn't that the one that people? I mean, that's
It is.
Yeah.
It is in the forefront
Yeah.
because our community is very vested in their animals, as we all are.
Yes.
And we have our hearts are in it, our souls
Yes.
are in it, and it brings the community together to know that we're doing something good.
Yeah. Question before we get into some of these other subjects
Sure.
here is during fire season when
Yes.
there's animal evacuations and stuff like that. I know. Do you help with, like for example, the fairgrounds when they open up for now? Do you help with staffing on some of the stuff on that?
We
as well?
do. As a matter of fact, for an example, on the last Aurora fire,
Yeah.
we were able to deploy some of our officers and some of our staff. We had them on standby the minute that the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, was put to task. I was part of that EOC along with several other department heads and partners that we work with. And we had our staff on standby in case we needed to respond.
Right.
We have one stop trailer, and we have a network of people out in the community that are willing to help us.
Right. Oh, yeah. You drop a hat, and those
Yes.
trailers will show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have, fortunately, Lori Giannini from Frogtown,
Yes.
from the fairgrounds, who has just been a blessing for us in every which way. If we are not able to house the animals on site at the Animal Service Center, which we do have a capacity to have several horses, large animals, and we have kennels for dogs and cats, then we defer to Lori, and she's
Use that as
available.
an overflow. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We use her, 24/7. As a matter of fact, I just sent them pizza a few weeks ago to thank
Very
them
nice.
for their help with
Very
the Aurora
nice.
fire.
A question, just as a, I know this before we get into just, but the fire thing is let's say the areas that are under the Caldor fire. We haven't had one like that here since the Butte fire. A long, campaign fire. What issues? Because some of those people have been out of their house for almost a month now. What type of, in an event like that, what are some of the protocols for people with animals and stuff? Is it long term?
So speaking of that, so what we like to do with Animal Services and all across the board is to educate our public.
Right.
That is the number one thing that we do is we like to facilitate education, provide that information to our public. As a matter of fact, I did bring some information, for that.
Got it.
For example, we have, and this is something that has flown at our Board of Supervisors meetings. I put together a PowerPoint.
The pet disaster checklist.
Pet disaster checklist that follows, everything. What do you need? What do you have to have ready for a go box? For your smaller domestic animals. For our larger animals, we have our disaster preparedness for livestock owners.
Got it.
All this information is available on our website and also under our CalOES website.
So just in case it's more than
just in case.
It is so if it is a prolonged period of time like this one and not
Yes.
just a night or two type
For a
of thing.
prolonged point of time, generally we like to tell people to have rations and have supplies for 48 to 72 hours.
Right.
But our officers and staff will go out and feed animals if necessary. That's what
Okay.
we did during the Butte fire, and we're willing to do that for anybody, even in any current situation. If some of our elderly community is having some struggles,
Sure.
they can call us and we
Sure.
can say, sure, we'll come out there and help you. We'll even supply food because we get quite a few donations of food from our great, wonderful, open-hearted community.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just thought fire's top of mind right now. I thought I would start off with that one. Sorry.
We're
about that.
ready.
Yeah.
No, that's
All right.
perfect.
One of the things that has been the perennial topic seems like at the county for long as I can remember is the new Animal Services shelter.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It has been a. So what's the latest?
So I'll tell you the latest. So the board approved this year for the fiscal year $600,000 to be utilized towards the infrastructure of a new animal shelter.
So you actually have a budget.
Yes, we do.
Very cool.
Yes, we are very excited, and it's something that has been, coming for quite some time.
Yes.
Shelter is
Yes.
even older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a little old. But we're real excited.
Yeah.
We have an ad hoc committee, and right now we're just discussing different types of infrastructures. What type of building do we want to have? Do we want a metal building? Do we want to, that
Right,
type of thing?
right.
It's real critical.
Location. I know
Location's number one.
Whereabouts? I know the county does have enough land for it. Where will you be located? In that same spot, or are you going to be moved?
Well, we're looking at that right now
Okay.
because we're looking at ingress and egress and a good way for our community to reach us. But not only that, in case there is an event of emergency, then we need to have access, ingress and egress. We're looking at probably about the middle of our campus right now. We have
Yes.
6+ acres on
That
the animal
area
service
kind of,
sites.
if people are familiar with it, I mean, because you have that open area between, say, Public Works and the library, right? Isn't that? Is
Yes,
that-
it's on that area. That's a little bit south. We have that area where Animal Service is located right now between Cal Fire and also the jail.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're looking at that area, even though it's a little hilly. There's all types of different things
Yeah.
that we can work at.
So that section, so basically if people work where the courthouse is, but kind of move you towards the hospital, so to speak, from,
Yeah.
kind of that whole area
Approximately.
between Cal Fire and the, okay.
Yeah, that's in
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is all about location.
Right.
That's the priority. Is we want to maybe be able to determine where to put that animal shelter. That is very instrumental in making sure we go forward on facilitating any plans.
Right. What's the capacity of the shelter now? How many is it?
So currently we have 21 dog kennels
Okay.
and 34 cat kennels, but through the generosity of our 501c3s like Focus and other entities, we've been able to get more kennels. We're even able to accommodate additional animals in our Focus building, where they routinely meet. So our capacity right now is probably we can hold about 60 cats and maybe 30 animals,
Okay.
30 dogs, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Now, we also have room on site for corrals, for horses,
For large animals,
for pigs,
huh?
for
Yeah.
goats. Probably no buffalo. I have a great story about the buffalo, too, by the way. You'll have to ask me about that in a little bit. Only
There
because
used to be quite a few up in the West Point area.
Yes. I think they
Are
still
there
have.
still? There's
We had a couple wild buffalo out in the Copper area, and we were able to, a couple of the little buffalo got loose, and buffalo are a little different. They're real strong and steady,
Right,
and
right.
they're able to actually get out of anything. So we had to kind of detour some of the buffalo back into the corral, per se. And they're not hard, they're very difficult to deter.
They're a little
not like
stubborn, right?
It's kind of like wrangling cats, right?
Right. So we talked a little bit about that. Is Focus? That's the primary one that helps out with you guys,
Oh,
right? Isn't
Focus.
that, okay.
They are our right hand. They're our heart. We can.
Do they help
anything.
coordinate volunteers too? Do they help?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they
Okay.
do. They are such a welcome. They're part of our their foundation. Of Animal Services, Calaveras Animal Services. That's
Yeah.
what they're called. Friends of Calaveras Animal Services. And we cannot do anything without them. They assist with some of our spay and neuter costs. They transport animals. They assist with our rabies and microchip
Right.
clinics.
Yes.
We've been very successful with that.
And you had one this last weekend, right?
Yes, we had
Yes.
one this last weekend at Angels Camp, and then we have our next one October 2nd here at the Government Center.
Government
Well, not
Center.
here,
Yeah.
but at our Government Center.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess one of the other questions is, you always see on the CHP logs and stuff like that, animals out, cows out, and stuff like that. So if there is, you alluded to it with the little buffalo. So what percentage of your calls is for animals out, livestock out? A lot of calls like that you work with.
Since I have been at the helm, I think we probably received about 3 or 4 calls. For animals that are loose on the highway.
That's not that many.
It's really not
Yeah.
that many, but it kind of sets the prioritization because that's a health and safety hazard, right? And
Yes.
if it happens at dusk or at
Oh,
nighttime,
boy.
it's even more. I was coming home from Jackson one night and coming up the hill to Moke Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and what do I see? A herd of goats in the middle of the highway. It was on our sides, of course, so
Mm-hmm.
we called CHP,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time, of course, they got there, the goats had disappeared, but people were coming around those blind corners, barreling down the highway there, not seeing the goats. So I had a couple of good Samaritans helping me, trying to giving everybody a warning. So it's things like that are real important to us, to maintain our community safety.
And people, I don't think sometimes you realize that those can be fatals because, if you're in a small car and you hit a 1,500-pound animal, and you're in a Miata or something like that, it's going to be in your lap.
It is.
It's, and it's, I know it's a little bit of a detour. Was it last year we had the young mother that perished with a bear?
Yes.
And we've had some instances, I don't know whether it's with the global warming stuff, but we've had several instances where there's been traffic incidents with bears. There was one in Copperopolis. Mm-hmm. Vehicle versus bear in Copperopolis. That's low.
Yes, it is.
And, you kind of, what are they doing? What are they doing down that? But if you're coming up here, if you're watching this, sometimes it's, the animal services, it's kind of fun, it's kind of nice, the pets and this stuff, but there's a serious side to it.
There's a very serious side.
There is, yeah.
The more serious sides are, of course, when we have to respond and investigate animal cruelty cases.
Right.
That is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking.
Yes.
We do our due diligence and we make sure that those animals are protected. Another thing is responding to bite reports, and or possibly a few years ago,
rabies report.
skunk
Yes.
rabies.
Okay.
Dogs will, attack the skunks.
Yep.
Dogs have to be tested. Thankfully, and very successfully because of our rabies and microchip-free clinics, we've vaccinated over 627 animals
Very
in Calaveras
cool.
County since last September.
And the next one's in October.
Next one's October 2nd. Yes.
And now the last rabies incident, was it Mountain Ranch, or was it last rabies one here? What was it up there?
I believe it was in the Mountain Ranch area, and I believe that was a skunk.
Okay. Yeah. 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 So.
Yeah, and another one of things that's sometimes it's when we get dogs that are hit or animals that are hit on the highway, they'll be deployed. Hopefully, if we're still open, through the night, they'll be deployed to us, and then we'll take them immediately to Angels Camp Veterinarian or one of the other several veterinarians that we collaborate with, and have MOUs with throughout the county and outlying counties as well.
Do the vets work with you guys pretty well?
They are wonderful.
Yeah.
All the veterinarians at our rabies and microchip clinics are donating their time. So we couldn't do that without them either. Our community is just wonderful.
Yeah.
In being able to help us out because we have a budget,
Sure.
and thankfully we have a good budget, but we also have a lot of time because we never know what we're going to be hit with.
Right.
We never know what we're going to be responding to. Are we going to be rescuing 50 goats? Are we going to be rescuing 20 horses? We just never know. So we always have to be prepared and ready. Our vehicles are always gassed up. We're always prepared. We always have the right go kits, the first aid kits, and the right people.
Yeah. Do you take, this was one, I think we covered most of that, but animal services, other animals besides cats and dogs, obviously large animals, that type of stuff, even buffalo if need be, right?
We probably would take the buffalo to Lori Giannini at Frogtown because Lori has the capacity and she has the power to do that.
So that'd be one you may farm out to the
Lori would not only get pizza, but she'd get probably an ice cream parlor.
Yes,
like that.
for the buffalo. Yes. But the pigs and the other ones a little more. You can handle a few of them.
Yes, we can.
Those. Okay.
Yeah. We've had several goats. We've had a few pigs. We had about at one time 10 horses up there. Anywhere from emus to llamas, some of the other different animals.
And they all have different personalities, don't they?
They do. And they truly do. Animals are very special.
Oh yeah.
They truly are.
And they can be stinkers as well, right?
Yes, they can.
They can.
Literally.
Other than the literal part, but they can be mischievous.
But it's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
All right. As far as under the stuff what else What else does the public need to know about your department, what you're up to, and what do we need to know?
Well, I just would like our, public to know that Animal Services is here, for our community. And we're here to help out. We're
Right.
here to collaborate. We're here
Right.
to communicate. If you need anything, if you need help with food, some of our community is on a lower income.
Mm-hmm.
We can help out with that. We get all kinds of different food items donated to us. We work with different organizations. We have Christmas coming up, and we set up booths, to be able to assist
Sure.
those people. And this year we'll be doing that as well.
What's the process if somebody's in need of food for their animals? They just email you or call you or something?
They can simply
okay.
just call us up, and we'd be more than happy to put together something for them, and we'll even deliver it. You bet.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would truly do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're there for, is to help our community and to help them, be good pet owners, because a lot of people, when they get a fluffy little duck or a little puppy or kitten, sometimes they're not aware of what to do with it.
Right.
We have all kinds of resources available on our website to help them with that.
What have been some of the recurring needs that you see? What's some trends? What do you see as far as
Some different trends as far as like our department, as far as,
as far
like
as
supplies
needs? I
and
mean, what do you
needs.
see some of the needs for the
A new shelter.
A new shelter.
But
I got
we're
it.
getting
Okay.
that, so we're really
Yeah.
excited about that. But that's been a long time coming. As I said before, our shelter is really quite antiquated. But, it suffices for what we need to do. We've made
Right.
it work for years.
Yeah.
And with the community support and also
Mhm.
focus in other entities, 501c3s. I would say right now we need more volunteers.
You do. Okay.
Truly need volunteers. We could not do anything without our volunteers. Just last month, our volunteers, just for the dogs alone, gave over, I think, 300 hours of their
Wow.
time, from walking those dogs. Those dogs are in kennels.
Mhm.
They need to get out and about, and people, they're doing that on their off time, on their work time. I mean, we will take anything that we can get. So
Got it.
I've kind of been trying to promote that, but definitely, if you're out there and you're hearing this, please, complete an application.
Volunteer, yeah.
There is a volunteer process.
Yeah.
There is a volunteer application. Unfortunately, anybody that is under 18 years old cannot volunteer, but
Got
there's
it.
other ways to do it.
Sure.
There's other ways for like a Girl Scout troop or the elementary schools put together like little blankets or
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
something fun,
Mhm.
put up signs or do anything. There's ways for them to help out.
Yeah.
And we have a list
Yeah.
of things that they could do as well.
What are some? Do you have any for the county-wide? Do you see any problem areas for people for here locally that you see as? I mean, what do you? Or most of it, or most of the time, it's pretty good. Or what do you see? What are you seeing?
I see, on this last Aurora fire,
Yeah.
there's something I think our community is very prepared. One of the stipulations that veterinarians will tell people with livestock is, you must have a stock trailer. And always be prepared.
Got it.
And different things like CDFA, which is also, this is on our website, it tells you how to prepare. A lot of them were prepared, and we were kind of surprised. We only received 22 animals on the last fire.
They
Rolla fire.
they jumped on that fire. One of the things that was amazing on
they
that
did.
one is when the Caldor exploded to 40,000 acres. There was 232 people on it that day.
Mm-hmm.
There was 340 some on the Aurora fire here. So
they
there was
really-
more people on that. And I think there's some reasons on it. I know it detours a little bit from the animal services, but it kind of doesn't. Is with where that fire was, if it would have got established in that Stanislaus drainage, only way it could go is straight up. I mean, it would have been it easily the potential to be another Caldor fire because that Stanislaus branches out to where the one branch goes up behind, Murphy's, Hathaway Pines, Arnold, etc. But then it also branches out to where it goes up behind Cedar Ridge, Twainhart. So basically, you could have had that whole, you would have had,
It would have been a little different.
Yes, hundreds
would
of
have been a
animals.
little
I mean, it
different.
was, and I think it was pretty amazing how they jumped on that quickly enough and defensively enough to not, because that was one of those fires. Even some of the fire guys were saying, is fires in that location, you put them out and you put them out now because those things. I mean, that was in a
thankfully,
bad spot.
We just have all across the board, from Cal OES,
Sure.
to our fire partners and to all the fire chiefs. I mean, they really act on it, and That we promote a lot of education. We certainly would never, knock on everything here, go through another Butte fire incident again.
Right.
But I think a lot of education has been put out there, how to be prepared, how to be ready. And our focus, of course, is going to be on our animals. But
Yes.
I think they're educated.
Now,
I think
a question, a little bit, and this may call into one of your other departmental responsibilities, but on the Butte fire, recovering from it. I mean, if you're looking, they're doing all the redistricting stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that, the county's population has still stayed relatively flat. But that, I mean, the Butte fire burn area has not recovered yet, because it's still down, because Jack's district is still down by 2,000 people. And we're a small county, that doesn't sound like very many. But that whole area, I mean, it still has some ways to go to make it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that Butte fire scar
Yeah,
area?
I was actually deployed to the Butte fire from San Joaquin County. That's how I got here. I was doing the hazardous materials analyses and the well and the septic determinations.
Right.
And I just remember seeing just the devastation, in that particular district, and it's unfortunate, that it hasn't recovered. But hopefully we can get people, back there, and we can get people vested in our community, and especially in that area, in that district. But meanwhile, through our other departments that are under our authority, we do the education, to our food facilities. We prepare them, for our PSPS events.
Yes.
What to do with your food in case.
And we haven't really had too many yet this year.
No, we haven't.
I mean,
Yes.
we still got another 2 months left.
Yes, we do.
We just need to get to November.
Come on,
and
November.
It's just, and people, I think people starting to let their guards down a little bit. So I think one thing to remind them is the campfire, it was November. And when that thing rolled through Paradise, and if people remember, it was the first wetting rain that helped put that out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that we're in the worst part of fire season right now. People, the temps start to cool off. You start thinking, everything, but
Our Butte fire, we just had that, anniversary.
Yep.
So that's something that we got past. But September, like you said, it's critical through November.
Yeah. Does that affect, back to the subject at hand here, is on your seasonal needs as far as feed and things for animals and stuff? With this time, do you see more need as far as feed and stuff now? I mean, now that we're into this is probably the leanest period as far as, natural occurring food for animal. I mean, do you need spikes
as far
at
as like our shelter operations, because we get a lot of, like I said, a lot of community donations,
right.
And we also have our own budget, to purchase the needs for our animals. Just the other day, we got 6 kittens in that were just barely had their eyes open, so
Aww.
we had to prepare, certain Similac and certain nutrients for them. 2 of the kittens, we didn't think were going to make it. I mean, they came in, they were a little lethargic, they were warm with their other cats or their kittens, but I really didn't think they were going to make it.
Right.
But we immediately fed them, kept them warm, and now they're as frisky as ever. So all 5 of them made it. So that's an example.
Yeah.
Do we have kitten formula? We might have some on hand, but we never know when we're going to get kittens, and that's a very specialized type of product. So in instances like that, then yes, we might need some, but we never know when we're going to need it.
Segue back over to the large animal stuff. One thing is I think you mentioned on it in passing is lots of people now think it's kind of fun. They'll get goats, they'll get all the other stuff, but they may not have a trailer to haul them or something like that. Do you see that quite where people don't realize that if you have those animals, you have to be able to move them, right?
Yes.
Isn't that something?
As a matter of fact, some of the animals that we did end up sending out some of our animal service officers out to did not have a trailer. So we ended up bringing those animals to safety at the Frog Town. So yes, that is one thing. A lot of times that what they tell the farmers, and the the departments, not the ag departments, but the agricultural people that have all these livestock and animals, is make sure that that they're branded. Make sure that they have all the appropriate identification, photos, that type of thing, and then make sure they have a plan. So
you can identify them later if they get all
Yes.
lumped into a pen.
because
Yeah.
that's what happens.
That's what's happened.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that, number one, that the animals are safe.
Right.
They might be put together. We do our best to try to
Do
keep
you
everything
threaten
together.
to brand the owner if they don't brand their animals? Is that part of the?
Well, we put on like like a little stick-on tattoo.
So
I
branding.
think that's a liability for the
branding the
branding.
owner's a little too much. You know,
I
it's
think that
just,
might be just a little bit
okay.
too
All
much.
right. Okay. All right.
Maybe a stick-on tattoo would
All
be
right.
good.
Well, maybe that's maybe in time past, right?
Yes.
Maybe in time past, but. Yeah, I grew up on a cattle ranch, so
Oh, how fun.
it was a funny thing
Yeah.
where it's not funny, but it's a little bit. Is we were branding one summer, and my dad had some Scottish Highlanders, which is most people are not familiar with. That's a very hairy cow because they can have hair that's 6 to 8 inches long because they're and we were branding, and we caught one on fire.
I was just going to say that because I'm thinking of this long hair. I'm thinking,
And
oh
we're like-
no, I know what's coming next.
And luckily it was just singe. It wasn't really, it wasn't really burning the animal so much.
Sure.
But it was like this poor cow for like 2 months. It had this
Little
giant
singed.
hole of because it caught in the hair. Just went, it was like this two.
That was running through my head when he said,
Yeah,
I
so
know
we
what
caught-
he's going to say.
Yeah, we caught one
Oh,
on
my
fire.
gosh.
Yeah, it was a Scottish Highlander. We caught it on fire. So it was just.
Things happen like that. I mean,
Yeah.
we do our best to respond to things like that.
Right.
But I'm sure you had
Right.
a bucket of water and you tossed it on the
We patted
Fiery
it down. Yeah, we
Highlander.
got it. Yeah, Scottish. The fiery
Scottish Highlander.
Yeah. And if you've ever seen pictures of them, they're very, very hairy, and lots of times they can also have like a white band in the middle. Some of those have like a distinctive markings. They're kind of fun animals.
Yeah,
little
they sound
different
beautiful.
personalities. Not quite. Not quite as buffalo-like, but
Yes.
they do have their own personalities. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
so we got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
So the summary on what the state of animal services right now, what you need the people to
Well,
know.
I can tell you, I am so excited and grateful that the board has blessed us, with this amount of
Right.
monies that we can work with, with our
Right.
committees to move forward on building a new animal shelter. Want to put it out there to the community that we are here for our Calaveras community, and especially their little furry babies.
Yes.
And even if they're not their fur babies, even if they see something, say something, call us,
Right.
let us know.
Right.
But we're always looking out for animal welfare, and we're looking out for the well-being, not only of them, because a lot of times there's a very close relationship between humans and animals.
Mm-hmm.
Humans feel secure when they have their animals. I was speaking to someone the other day about evacuations. A lot of times, people won't evacuate if their animals can't go with them.
Right.
Instead of going
Right.
to an evacuation center, they'll take that animal with them to their vehicle.
Yes.
Would I do the same thing?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably, because we feel this vested, heartfelt.
They're family.
They're our fur babies,
They're family.
and,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's driving everything is that passion and that love, not only for the animals but for the love between humans and animals.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah.
In summary, I'm just very grateful that I have this opportunity, to speak to you and to our community about our animal services, and I look forward to very many years in a very successful animal shelter.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.